welcome. It's Robert Meade here, coming from my beautiful beach here in the Philippines. I have a very important question for you. Are you ready? The question is, are you here out of curiosity, for entertainment, because you like the subject of manifesting and using your imagination? Is that the primary reason? Or are you actually here because you'd like to make your wishes and your goals actually manifest? There's a big difference between being entertained and actually practicing what you learn. Today I'm going to give you a simple formula for manifesting that has proven itself in action. I've proven it in my own life. I'm going to give you several examples of how it works. I'm going to make it real simple, but I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to actually become a doer and actually practice what I'm giving you and see if it actually works and see it work in your life. Are you up for the challenge? If you are, you're going to watch this video to the very end because I'm going to give specific examples and show you exactly how, but then I want you to actually challenge it. I test you to challenge this for at least 1 week straight, minimum. And then let me know if you feel any shifts in your life. If you make it a way of life, you definitely will transform your life. So, are you up for the challenge? We'll find out right now. Okay, so first of all, I want to give you the formula. I want to give you the formula for success. These are 3 steps which I've discussed several times in my other videos. Again, I'll leave links to that in my description. Along the top of the page, you may occasionally see a reference that will help you deepen your understanding and application. So the steps are the following, but let's introduce it through Neville's very important words at the top of the page. Neville states, people have the habit of slighting the importance of simple things, but this simple formula for changing the future was discovered after years of searching and experimenting. So Neville Goddard, if you're not familiar with him, was an amazing mystic who used this formula to manifest magnificent things in his own life and for the thousands of people that attended his lectures and that he helped also individually through coaching. And so these are the steps. Notice the first step. The first step in changing the future is desire. That is, define your objective. Know definitely what you want. So I would encourage you to take a private spot and really meditate on what you'd like to see happen in your life. It may be something very specific that you're currently working with, and that's what I encourage. It could also be an overall change that you'd like to make in your life. Either way, define it. Know exactly what you want. Secondly, construct an event you believe you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire. An event which implies the fulfillment of your desire, something that will have the action of self-predominant. Now, if you're familiar with my work and Neville Goddard, you know that he refers to this in several various terms, such as an imaginal event or an imaginal act. That's what we're asking you to construct. And by construct, again, sit down with pen and paper and actually write out what you'd like to see manifest in your life. Thirdly, immobilize the physical body and induce a condition akin to sleep. This, of course, is what I have referred to as the alpha meditative brainwave state. Joe Dispenza also teaches this and works with those in his classes and events to use this alpha state. And this is the same alpha state spoken of here. Neville refers to it as a state akin to sleep. Similar to sleep, and yet you still have control of what you consciously want to think about, but you're in a very relaxed state. Notice what he says. He continues, lie on a bed or relax in a chair and imagine that you are sleepy. Then, with eyelids closed and your attention focused on the action you intend to experience, again, it's an event. The action you intend to experience following fulfillment.
in imagination. It says mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action, imagining all the while that you are actually performing the action here and now. And it really helps us appreciate what we need to do here with the following two paragraphs. Follow along as he says, you must always participate in the imaginary action, not merely stand back and look on. You must feel yourself that you are actually performing the action so that the imaginary sensation is real to you. You want to make it real in your imagination, as if you're actually participating in this constructed action or event. He goes on to say, it is important always to remember that the proposed action must be one which follows the fulfillment of your desire. Also, you must feel yourself into the action until it has all the vividness and distinctness of reality. For example, suppose you desired promotion in office. Being congratulated would be an event that you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire. So your overall goal in having a better career in this example might be to make more money, take better care of your family, to be able to travel, to be able to buy the things you want, to be able to enjoy life. But he narrows it down to specifically, in this case, the example of a promotion in your career. And notice how simple he keeps it. He says it's simply a matter of being congratulated. That's the example he gives here, although you're going to see several other examples. Notice how Neville really keeps it simple. In the case of being congratulated, he doesn't go into great detail of how you need to imagine the interview going well, although you certainly could do that, or that you'd meet the right people, that the right things would happen. He didn't keep it complicated, but rather made it simple. And that's why I don't want you to miss this. Simplicity does not mean ineffectiveness. Simplicity is much, much better because in this case of being congratulated, you can imagine yourself with perhaps the director of the company reaching his hand out to you and saying that, we're so glad that we promoted you because you're doing such a fine job. And in fact, your salary is now going to reflect that. In fact, the work you've been doing for us the past few weeks merits a bonus. So you can imagine being congratulated and being thanked by a boss or a director. You could also do it as a scene at a restaurant with a friend congratulating you, or a family member at home, or something along those lines. That's your choice. But keep it as simple as possible. In simplicity lies the power. So now you have the basic formula of how to achieve your goals. We're going to come back to it. But first, let's give a few examples and stories, true stories, that show its effectiveness. Several of these examples are found in another of Neville's amazing books, The Law and the Promise. Chapter 1, The Law, Imagining Creates Reality, starts with a chapter that is entitled, The Law, Imagining Creates Reality. Notice in the first highlighted paragraph, Neville says, the purpose of the first portion of this book is to show through actual true stories how imagining creates reality. Science progresses by way of hypothesis, tentatively tested and afterwards accepted or rejected according to the facts of experience. The claim that imagining creates reality needs no more consideration than is allowed by science. It proves itself in performance. I'm going to be giving you some specific examples from Neville and also in my own life shortly. But first, I want you to consider exactly what is happening here when you're using your imagination and you're entering into the depth of your mind, your heart, and your soul, and you're connecting with all that will bring it about within. Neville says, notice, if you would enter into the image in your imagination, then you would know what it is to be creatively transformative. Then you would realize your wish. Then you would be happy. Every image can be embodied, but unless you yourself enter the image, and think from it, from within it. And again, see my link for my video on visualization, how to think from what you visualize. for greater detail. He goes on to say, unless you think from it, it is incapable of birth. Therefore, it is the height of folly to expect the wish to be realized by a mere passage of time. We need to actually occupy it in imagination. As he highlights further, that which requires imaginative occupancy to produce its effect obviously cannot be effected without such occupancy. You cannot be in one image, that is, the one you don't want, and not suffer the consequences of not being in another, the one you do want. Imagination is spiritual sensation. Enter the image of the wish fulfilled, that is, that imaginal event or act. Then give it sensory vividness, tones of reality, by mentally acting as you would act were it a physical fact. So here's a specific example, and I've skipped a lot of the story that I'll fill in for you. It's a story of a lady who was in the hospital, and while in the hospital, she began to reflect on a childhood dream, and that was to travel the world, particularly by a cruise ship. And so while in the hospital, she actually ordered and received brochures and folders that contained, brochures about the ship, the exact ship and room she would be in, the places that she had in mind visiting. And she just imagined actually being on that ship, on that cruise ship, enjoying the tropics. And she, as it says here, poured over them. In other words, she really got into them. Now, we can do this today, of course, through many means, of course, through books and magazines, but particularly even through YouTube. You can watch and explore different islands and places that you might want to visit and dream of actually having your feet in the sand and actually being there. Now, notice it says again, continuing at the top, that she did this hour after hour, choosing the ship and the stateroom and the 7 ports, 7 locations I desired most to see. Notice what she says about her imaginal act or event that she went over and over. She says, I would close my eyes, go into that sleepy state, that imagination. And in my imagination, I would walk up the gangplank, the stairs leading up to that ship, and feel the movement of water as the great liner pushed its way into free ocean. Notice she used her senses in imagination. She says, I heard the thud of waves breaking against the sides of the ship, felt the steaming warmth of the tropical sun on my face, and smelt and tasted the salt air as we all sailed through blue water. Now, I can particularly identify with this because I use my imagination and my imaginal event, an act, in my imagination nightly, as I imagine myself living the island life, the beach life that I currently live. And what I did was I actually watched on YouTube many of the locations and type of places that I'd like to visit, the warm tropical islands, and I just envisioned myself there. I would watch and listen to the waves and close my eyes, then open my eyes and actually watch this on YouTube, okay, because my desire was to have a life, the island life. And I would feel myself sitting on the beach on the warm sand with my feet in the sand, my toes in the sand, the ocean in front of me. And I could hear the gentle breeze of the coconut trees behind me. And I might hear an occasional seagull pass over. And I could smell the sun, salt air from the ocean as I sat there. I actually imagined myself there, the ocean in front of me, the mountains, beautiful green tropical mountains behind me. And that's exactly what I have in my life now. You saw that in my opening introduction of this video. This is where I live. Okay, this is the life that I'm enjoying now that I've been enjoying nearly 14 months at this point. So I use that imaginal scene and I would go to sleep with that. I would wake up with it. And I would go to sleep with it, and I would wake up with it, and I would dwell on that as actually my life. And then you can see the links again. You can see my story, and I have much more greater detail. This all happened during one of the worst times in history, during COVID, a time when it was locked down and people were told not to travel. I didn't listen to any of that. I ignored all of that, and I began to make my moves. Within a few months, I was there. Okay? So take a look at that when you get a chance. But you have the idea here. This is what she did in her imagination. And the end of the story is that she actually won a ticket at a drawing at a grocery store that gave her the exact travel that she imagined, the ship, the stateroom, the 7 locations, all of it. She actually won and was able to experience that as a magnificent vacation that she had imagined. Now, you'll notice that I said 14 months. That's actually the time that I've been here in the Philippines. I've actually enjoyed this life for the past 4 years. First in Playa del Carmen in Mexico. Oh, it was amazing. I did over 100 scuba dives with bull sharks and whale sharks and manta rays and in the cenote caves. It was amazing. And again, that's one of my adventures you can see in my travel adventures on my channel. So it's actually 4 years that I've been enjoying it, including 2 years in Bali, Indonesia, which was just it was fantastic. So these are states, these are situations that you can actually imagine yourself into and, believe it or not, actually manifest, because this actually works. And that's why I challenge you to do it. I challenge you to actually get into these 3 steps, and then you will see results from how effective it is. Notice what Neville says from the Law and the Promise. In the second paragraph, he says, whenever one state, that is, an imagined condition that you'd like to experience in your life, grows so stable as to become your constant mood, your habitual attitude, then that habitual state defines your character and is a true manifestation. You become it. How do you do it, Neville asks? Self-abandonment. You have to be committed to fully believing it into being. That's the secret. You must abandon yourself mentally to your wish fulfilled, past tense, fulfilled, as it's already happened. In your love for that state, and in doing so, live in the new state and no longer or no more in the old state. He says you cannot commit yourself to what you do not love. So pick something you really want to see happen. The secret of self-commission is faith plus love. Faith is believing in what is unbelievable. Neville also describes faith as believing in the unseen as already existing. So we need to commit ourselves to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And in faith, that this act of self-commission, that's what it is. You're giving yourself a self-commission. It will become reality. And it must become reality because imagination and imagining creates reality. I'm going to now give you one more example. This is an example of a lady who wanted to be married, okay? And so she actually had a specific man who she met, and then they lost contact with each other, and she wanted for him to find her, so to speak, come back to her life and propose marriage. So this is what she did. She says, before going to sleep at night, I felt I was in a different bed in my own home as a married woman, and not as a single working girl sharing an apartment with 3 other girls. I twisted an imaginary wedding band on my imaginary left hand, saying over and over to myself, this is wonderful. I really am Mrs. J.E. So that formula can be effective in many different circumstances. This is an example of someone who had a terrible back pain that goes back to childhood. Notice her story. This year, during the month of August, the pain had become more intense. And one night, I decided to test myself and attempt to revise that ancient accident, which had been the cause of so much distress and pain and costly medical fees most of my adult life. Many nights passed before I could feel myself back to the age of childhood, but I succeeded. One night, I actually felt myself on the swing, because she got hurt on a swing set when she was a child. So she imagined herself back on that swing set. She felt the rush of the wind as the swing rose higher and higher. As the swing slowed down, I jumped forward, landing solidly and easily on my feet. So she imagined that rather than the accident that led to her back problem. Notice she continues, in the imaginal action, I ran to my mother and insisted that she come and watch what I could do. I did it again, jumping down from the swing and landing safely on my 2 feet. I repeated this imaginal act. Notice, I repeated this imaginal act over and over until I fell asleep in the doing of it. If you read the rest of that story, you'll find the details of how her back pain then, within a relatively short time, disappeared. And that's from The Law and the Promise, Chapter 3. So you can read it there. I encourage you to do that. Remember, all of Neville's books, lectures can be found online for free. Simply Google it, and you can find it, no charge. Personally, I prefer the actual books, and so I have all of his books, and I enjoy having them in my hands as you see pictured on the screen. And I purchased the books on Amazon, but you can find the outlet that works for you depending on the country you live and the access you have. But they're not difficult to find. And if you prefer to read them for free, you'll want to put in the title of the event or the title of the chapter, and then you can put PDF, and you'll get the full reading, again, for free online. Now, if you'd like personal assistance in applying the 3 steps, I encourage you to feel free to message me on Facebook Messenger, and you can also actually book coaching with me through the link provided on my channel and in my description. If you'd like to know more about my coaching first, feel free to message me and I'll accept you as a friend on Facebook Messenger, and I can discuss what's involved if you decide to get some personal coaching. So again, the 3 steps, I promised that I would briefly highlight them once again, and then I'm going to leave you to the challenge because I know you're going to take me up on it. Keep in mind, again, the first step in changing the future is desire. Define your objective. Know what you want. So specifically, what would you like to accomplish? Be it connected with health, a career, money, relationships, or something else. And don't generalize it. Don't say, I want to be rich. I want to be a millionaire. No, you have to specifically imagine an event that would take place afterwards or following that would imply that you have the wealth, that you have that career, that you have that relationship, that you are in that better health condition, or whatever it is you seek to manifest. It needs to be a specific desire. And secondly, construct an event which you believe you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire. An event which implies fulfillment of your desire, your goal, what you have defined as your objective. And again, the third and final step, which is so very important, is to go into that sleepy state. And again, you don't have to do it in bed before you sleep. You can actually, although that is the best, I find, because you take it right into your subconscious through that meditative alpha theta brainwave state, which I've done more on that in detail in my other videos. Please see the links. So you want to immobilize the physical body, be it in a chair, be it on your back on the floor, with a pillow under your head. You want to become completely relaxed and then have privacy, make sure that you have no disturbance, and then go into your imagination in that sleepy state. With eyelids closed, give your attention and focused to that focused action you intend to experience, that imaginal event, that imaginal act, in imagination. Mentally fill yourself right into that proposed action, imagining all the while that you're actually performing the action here and now. And as we saw from those examples, you want to do this over and over again and have it be the last thing before you fall off into that nap or sleep. Because again, you can also do this several times midday. It doesn't have to be an hour meditation. It can be literally done within just a few minutes, and then you sit up, and go right back to your normal activities, and you'll find that you are receiving that wish on a deep level in your subconscious, and things will simply begin to unfold and happen to confirm it.
Okay, so most people love a good challenge. Do you? Are you actually going to put this to the test? I'm ready for you to prove me wrong. I'm ready for you to come back and tell me, Robert, I did it and I didn't feel anything different. I didn't notice anything changing or shifting. Well, yeah, 1 week is a pretty stiff challenge, but I am just moving you to actually take action and begin to apply what I'm giving to you. This is based on ancient wisdom that has proven in its practicality and results. Results are all that matter. You want results, put it to the test. Comment, let me know if you're joining in. Say yes, Robert. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to follow it. I'm going to do this today. I'm going to write up my goals. I'm going to have a specific imaginal scene. I'm going to take it into my drowsy state, into my alpha meditation, and I'm going to do this every day and every night for at least 7 days straight. Will you? Let me know in the comments. I dare you to test it out. You'll begin to see shifts and you will see change in your life. But it only happens if you take action. Let's start that action today.
If you'd like to know more detail and more examples, exactly how to perform this process over the next 7 days and forward, please click the link now that I'll provide the playlist that covers this in great detail so that you can manifest your dreams and your desire. Will you take up the challenge? I feel that you will, and I look forward to working with you if you choose to also take my coaching. That's an option. But either way, by watching those videos, the playlist I'm going to leave you, you will be able to manifest the life that you desire.